Hey everybody, welcome to the Peacock Corner Show. My co-host today is having a little technical difficulty. Maybe we'll see him a little bit later, maybe we won't, but I tell you what, I'm used to carrying this show on my back, so it's not going to be a really big deal, but this is Peacock Schrock, Mike Schrock, as Warren likes to call me, the Alpha Peacock. Just a few things right away to get off the chest, and I really wanted to ask Warren this. Warren, our Sports Guys Iowa cohorts have nicknamed us the Powder Blue Boys. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm okay with it. I can roll with it, but that seems to be their little running joke. We'll go with it. But again, the Peacock Corner Show, powered by Sports Guys Iowa. I tell you what, we have an incredible show set up for you today. You want to talk about legends of the game, making his mark right now in the NBA, getting ready to do a camp in Fayette, Iowa. Of all places, Fayette, Iowa, this NBA player is coming to do a camp, and he's got a little bit of a surprise for me even. Got a special guest with him. I want to say hello to our two guests today, Mr. Luka Garza and Mr. Jarrett Kruse. Hey, fellas, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Great. August 17th, we've got the Luka Garza Academy doing two camps. First one is going to be in Fayette, Iowa, August 17th. Like I said, you have all ages in there. What a great opportunity for any local kids or anybody across the state of Iowa. And then I believe you guys will be traveling to Indianola for August 19th camp. Same kind of deal. Great opportunity again for any kids around there, boys and girls. And first I want to ask you, Luka, University of Iowa star, talked a little bit about your dad. He said you guys love Iowa. You're a big time NBA guy now. You're a Boston Celtic. Why come back to Fayette and do a camp?
Honestly, I think a lot of the reason is this guy right here. He's worked at camps the last couple of years, and we've grown really close. He helps my training in the off season and all of that. And he's always kind of nudged me. He's like, hey, one year we got to do a camp in Fayette. 1 year we got to do a camp in Fayette. So I kept thinking about the idea. And obviously, through the 5 years of Luka Garza Academy, we've always gone to different places. We've gone to Peacock, we've gone Davenport, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Okoboji. We've kind of went to different places in the state of Iowa. I thought this was a cool opportunity, a new location. Obviously, I know Jarrett that played there, and I also know Sam Elgin, a good friend of mine who also played at Upper Iowa. I was familiar with it, and I love the idea. Go somewhere different, and I think that's what's cool about what we do in the summer is we get to interact with so many different people in different areas in the state of Iowa, and that's what it's about. It's about giving back and trying to make a positive impact on different places.
Yeah, and you say you focus a lot on Iowa, been at many different places. Of course, a basketball star, to say the least, for the University of Iowa. Doing a little research on you, and you had some pretty big offers coming out of high school. I believe Georgetown, Notre Dame, maybe Georgia was one of them. Did you land in Iowa?
Yeah, I think it was a lot to do with Fran McCaffrey. He started recruiting me kind of before some of those big name offers came around. He reached out and offered after my sophomore year of high school. And at that point, I'd had a lot of A-10 schools that had offered, a lot of mid-majors, a lot of good schools, but I hadn't really quite had some heavy hitter programs. And so over the process, a couple of years of going through the recruiting process, I got so close to Fran, and I just felt like he was the coach I wanted to play for, and that his program was where I could kind of develop and improve the most.
Hey, I want to introduce our co-host here. He finally decided to join in. The technical difficulties are through.
Sorry, guys, for being late, and thanks for getting us off the ground, Mike. Well done. Luka and Jarrett, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I've been listening in, and I'll just jump in with a quick question. Look, 2026 is the 5th year of the Luka Garza Academy, I've read. You guys have been all over the state of Iowa, as you had mentioned before, with stops in Fayette on the 17th of August. We'll talk about more of that plenty. Indianola a couple of days later. Help us understand what sets the Luka Garza Academy apart from other basketball camp experiences that take place anywhere.
Absolutely. I think for number one, I like to pride myself on being extremely hands-on, being involved in every drill, playing with the kids, just doing whatever to create a unique experience. I think that comes from when I was a kid going through camps, and I'd go to University of Maryland camp or whatever camp it was, and I had a great time, but I wish the players were maybe a little bit more involved instead of sitting off on the side and watching or whatever. So I think for me, I just try to provide that. And obviously my dad as well, he loves this. And for him, a lot of the lessons that he tries to teach in the camp are what he told me when I was young. And so they're really impactful and stuff that I still carry with me as an NBA player, reminders and lessons that help you along the way. And I think also just unique drills and skill set things that we work on, but we try to teach beyond the game of basketball, just more kind of principles and ideologies of how you should handle yourself in different situations and how putting in work and grinding at something and seeing the results of it, how that can be beneficial to your life.
And these are things a few weeks back that we were talking about with your dad. And for a while there, when we were going, it almost felt like to me that the conversation was drifting away from basketball. And I'm going, holy smokes, these things that they're teaching out at the camps are transferable to pretty much anything in life that's worth doing. And then, of course, the conversation drifted back to basketball as well. But I think that it's very much applicable to any endeavor that you take on. You just happen to be teaching these lessons out in a gymnasium.
Absolutely. And I think that's something I hear from many different people when they transition into working or going to an office job, is the team building and stuff you get through team sports, and all of that are such valuable lessons that help you. And I think that's the same thing with these camps, is there's so much that can be taught through sports, whatever it is, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, and it can help you and apply in your life. And I think the principles that I follow in my everyday life is going to be applicable no matter what I'm doing in the future.
Yeah, in talking with your dad, I was sitting here as an adult thinking, geez, a lot of this applies to my life, and have actually taken some of the things and applied them to my life for the better. But one of the things I really like about your camp, Luka, and you just spoke about it, is it goes beyond basketball. Yes, you're gonna learn basketball skills from one of the best to do it. And the other side of that is you're getting this mental preparation. And your dad said something that has always stuck with me, and that's the first shot that's taken is between the ears. And so I'm curious a little bit, having your mom and dad both being athletes, and your dad who is so cerebral in his thinking, how did he get you to start to, and at what age did he get you to really hone in on the mental side of the game?
Yeah, I think for me, it was always these constant reminders as I was growing up and developing and getting better of how important the mental side of the game was. And I think there was just the way I looked at the game and how I had to prepare myself, and always making sure I could kind of quiet the mind going into games. When you hear guys who talk about the flow state, or when they get hot or whatever, they're not thinking anything. They're just letting their body take over based on all the work that they've done in the past. And as I got older, it got harder to quiet the mind. When you're playing in front of 15,000 people, the lights are on, it can create overthinking or nervousness or whatever the case may be. And so I think in college, after my sophomore year, I kind of sat down with my dad and was like, hey, I know we've talked about a lot of stuff on the mental side, but I think I need to make a big jump to become the player I want to be, because I feel like what's happening on the court, where I feel like I could be better or I'm inconsistent maybe right now, I feel like it isn't physical. I think it's mental. And I think it's something that I could be doing to help prepare me to go into each and every game. And that's when I started with meditation and more deeper visualizations, and created a mental routine as well as a physical one going into every single game. Everyone has a physical routine. Okay, I shoot two switches under the rim and then I back up or whatever it is. So everyone gets going physically in the same way, but why not have a mental routine to keep yourself going into the game where you want to be? And once I started that, I think the trajectory of my career and my life completely changed. I became a guy who was consistent every single night, who showed up, and I felt like all of the work that I put in my entire life was finally completely being put on the basketball floor. And it was really exciting, and something I still do and I still have in terms of a mental routine, and continue to add on it and do different things to help keep myself in the right mindset to be a consistent basketball player.
Mike and Warren in the Peacock Corner with Hawkeye legend Luka Garza, promoting the Luka Garza Academy event on Monday, August the 17th. Still time to get in on this. Check it out at lukagarzaacademy.com. Luka, your season last winter in Boston was your 5th in the NBA and easily your best. Career highs in literally every category that I looked up, points, minutes, all the rest. There are players who you competed against and with in college who are in the NBA, but they're on the bench watching, or they're playing overseas, or they're no longer playing professional basketball at all. Many have physical gifts that I'm sure you would argue are equal to or greater than yours. there's a lesson in there somewhere. And I imagine that topic is going to come up in Fayette in the gym when you're talking to those kids. What does that lesson look like, and how would you put it in your words?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. There's a lot to go. There's a lot to speak on in terms of the NBA. When you get there, it's a whole different challenge. And I think part of it is being able to have patience and faith that even though you might not be getting the opportunities that you want right now, that you just continue to put your head down and continue to work and prepare yourself for that moment. And I think that's what happens to a lot of guys. It's tough to keep that patience. For me, it was 4 years of not playing the minutes that I wanted to, of watching most games, of waiting and continuing to work, knowing I was good enough to be out there on the floor, making an impact, seeing other guys have success, seeing other guys not have success, whatever the case may be, but keeping focus on the main thing, which was continue to work and improve myself every single day and stay prepared and stay ready, hoping that opportunity would come. And I think over those first 4 years of my career, that was the nature of it. I wouldn't play for 30 games, 20, 30 games, and I'd get thrown into a rotation randomly. So you got to be ready. You got to be able to play. And I think it was like the toughest test on my mental game that I've ever experienced. And then going into this season where there was a lot more opportunity, I felt like I was so prepared from what I had to deal with the last 4 years that it was like, okay, I get to play most nights. I'm going to be able to figure it out. And it was just a lot of work that went into it. But like you said, it's easier said than done. I think everybody who in life, when you're doing well at something, or you're putting in so much time, you want to see the results from it. And it's being able to have faith that the results will come if you continue to do the right things. And so that is the biggest lesson that I took away from my journey in the NBA so far.
Yeah, I'm going to shift this next question over to Jarrett, because Jarrett, I'm not going to let you just sit there. So Jarrett, a two-part question. What have you been up to since you left Fayette, number one? And number two, why don't you, and I know he's sitting right next to you, but why don't you talk a little bit about the growth in what you've seen in Luka over the last 5-6 years that you've been working with him?
Absolutely. So when my time ended in Fayette, so we lost on a Saturday in the conference tournament. We had selection Sunday on Sunday, and we didn't make it. I still think we had the resume to get in. Maybe that's just me. I thought we had it that year, but obviously
I agree, brother.
Yeah, a lot of things went exactly the way they couldn't on that Saturday, and unfortunately, that's how it ended. So after that, I accepted a job with an Arena League football team in Waterloo. I was with the Iowa Woo for about 4 months, 5 months. So our season ended Saturday. I moved home Monday, started work, and I was just kind of trying to figure things out. And obviously, I've always been super passionate about basketball, super passionate about training. But my story is similar to his in the way where obviously it's a lot different, but basketball didn't necessarily work for me at the college level. And I felt like I was working so hard and it never paid off. But now in my life, it's like I'm finally getting to reap the rewards of all that hard work and dealing with all the injuries and everything I've dealt with in college. As you mentioned, worked as camps every summer. And that includes last summer when I was with the Woo. And when I was out there, I kind of realized I need to get back into basketball. I still love the sport. I love the training. I feel like I know so much. It's just, like I said, dealing with the injuries and everything, I wasn't able to express it myself. So the camps ended. I go back to work. I'm trying to figure things out. And then Frank, Luka's dad, calls me and he's like, do you want to come out to DC for a month and live with us? And while you're out here, you'll get to be involved in the training, see how we do everything, and kind of implement some of the things that I know into his training. And I was like, this is a no-brainer for me. I absolutely have to do this. So ended up quitting my job with the Iowa Woo. I flew out to DC and I got connected with him. And through him, I got to meet a lot of different NBA coaches, NBA players, just people who are involved in the game. I'm out in DC. I ended up interviewing for a position in Madison at a Shoot 360. And I ended up going there in 3 months from just being like a regular employee to the head trainer. So had a lot of success right away. I had 50 clients in Madison before I ended up departing for the first time. Things were going well. I'm starting to get comfortable in Madison. I'm settled down. Then I get a call from the Celtics as well. So I ended up moving out to Maine, Portland, Maine, in middle of November. And I took a position with their G League team, which was focused primarily on player development. So really working on with the players at an individual level, as well as helping a little bit with the basketball operation stuff. So learning how things work in the office. The NBA, they have 1,000 people to work 10 jobs. In the G League, they have 10 people to work 1,000 jobs. I'm learning. It's like a GA. It's very similar to a GA position where I was wearing so many different hats. I'd be going from coaches meetings to doing laundry. I was doing everything, really soaking it up. And Maine was an awesome experience for me. I can't be more thankful for the Maine Celtics at the end. So we ended up losing in April in the first round of the playoffs, which was tough. But in the G League, your roster fluctuates so much throughout the season with two ways getting called up, roster movement and everything, that we had a really good first half of the season. Second half, we struggled a little bit. And yeah, our season ended. I ended up meeting with our head coach, Phil Pressey, and then the head of player development, Taj Ridley, and asked them, what's the next step for me? Obviously, I love player development. I completely love what I do, but I also want to get into coaching someday. What is the next step for me? And it was tough because obviously I got comfortable out there. I loved being in Boston when we would go there. And then they pretty much both told me, if you want to level up from player development to actual coaching, you need the GA. I got my master's at Upper Iowa. I did 6 years of college, and I was just like, that's not really what I want to hear right now, but I knew that it was very clear what I needed to do after speaking with them because they're in a position I wanted to do. So I explored different options. I had a couple different interviews, and I moved out to Southern California in May, and I've been a GA out here at USC for the last 2 months. So it's been an awesome experience. So yeah, I can't wait for the season. I think we're going to have a really good squad this year.
And not bad for a kid from Waterloo. At
No.
your age, you should say yes to everything, and you're
Yeah.
crisscrossing the country and having a lot of different experiences and doing some impressive stuff. This is a question for both of you guys, and kind of coming back a little bit to the camp itself. I'm interested to know what you guys borrow from each other skill-wise to drive the experience out inside the gym. I'd kind of like to know what you uniquely bring, Jarrett, to the gym, and then how you complement what Luka brings.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing that I really admire about Jarrett is that grinder mentality, the continuing to work, to take opportunities, to take advantage of them when they come, and just to continue to understand that there's a place I want to get to. Maybe I'm not there right now, but I'm going to continue to every day put my best foot forward and get there. And you've seen it with the last couple of years of how he's leveled up. And I think that's a unique perspective for the kids at the camp as well. I mean, it might not be through playing basketball, it might be through working in basketball or whatever the case may be. But that mindset, that's the same mindset I apply to the way I train in the offseason, the way I work during the season, the way I prepare myself. It's the same thing. It's just done in different avenues. So I think that, and that for me is when I talk about people who I want to have around me, you talk about your closest 5 people or whatever it is, I want people with that mindset, no matter what they're doing. And so that's why he's a big addition every single year in the camps. And I think basketball, skill-wise, there's a lot of things as a guard, as a guy who's played multiple different positions that he can provide in terms of experience. And also being a guy from Iowa who's knows what these kids are going through in AAU or high school or whatever it is, which is a different perspective than me in Washington, D.C., where it's a lot different. So I think with all those things, it creates a unique perspective that is good for the kids to hear as well.
Yeah, to go off of that, I would say too, as far as from the skill standpoint, I mean, you have Luka, who has thrived in his career, college level, NBA level, because he's so skilled. His game, I would argue he's one of the most skilled players in the NBA because it is truly skill and hard work that gets him to where he is. On the other hand, for me, when I came out of my NAIA to Upper Iowa, I was brought there solely off of my athleticism. I also ran track at Upper Iowa, so my speed and my vertical is what got the coach's attention. It wasn't my stats or my dribbling, my skills. It was the pure athleticism that I brought. Our games are very different, where I feel like we kind of complement each other in that way, where I've been the kid who was extremely athletic and I had to learn how it's to develop the skill, where Luka, he really developed the skill and then he's worked hard to work on his athleticism and increase where he's at. As well as us two, also, we have Chris Morrill on staff. He's a prominent girls coach in the state of Iowa. He's done a really good job for us the last couple of years. And we do a co-ed camp, so he does a great job on working with some of the girls. And he's able to bring a unique experience and really draw and get close with them. And then we also have Luka's dad, Frank, who obviously is very educated. And he's taught me so much as well as everything he's taught Luka growing up. So I really do think we have a well-balanced staff that is great to have around, as well as you might see some familiar faces in the gym. I know both Hilmers are going to be around throughout the week. We're going to have Nick Reed around. It's really going to be a good thing for Fayette.
Wow, I can't wait. That's going to be awesome. The Peacock is coming to Peacock Land, and we're getting some alumni back as well. I love that. August 17th, Fayette, Iowa, your chance to train with some of the best and learn from some of the best. I had a question. You offer different age groups, different sessions based on age group, boys and girls. Could you talk a little bit about what do you do through that 2nd through 5th grade, and how is that different from 7th and 8th grade? What do you do in the Luka Garza Academy camps that's different in those age groups?
For sure. I think the messages are pretty consistent throughout. I think they get a little bit more intense as the age groups go up. And I'd like to say it's the same thing with the skill development. I think there's a little bit more focus on some of the basic fundamentals in the early groups, just focusing on some simple footwork and some finishing and different things that I learned when I was first starting to try this basketball thing. And as you get older with the high school groups, that becomes a little bit more intense where I can give a little bit more detailed advice from what I've seen through all these different levels. And that's the same with Jarrett and Chris and my dad. So I think that kind of the intensity bar is just raised as we go up, but the basis of fundamentals is still important. We can start to do some things that are a little bit more advanced with the older groups, some different drills, some more competitive drills where we're putting them against each other and putting them in kind of simulated game environments to help translate what they're learning here into their high school practices, into their AAU seasons, into their regular high school seasons.
Yeah, another thing that we do during each session is we'll break them up into stations. So we'll do an hour of station work. So they'll be in even smaller groups, and they'll rotate around to each of us coaches, and they'll get to learn a little bit from all of us. And during that time, they're in smaller groups where if we see a more advanced second or third grader, we can up what they're doing. And then if there's someone who's learning, who's new to the game, we can tailor it towards them. So I know in the previous years, I've done the finishing station. So one thing that we'll do there, it's really easy. I can have a second grader who's extremely advanced. They might be doing an inside hand finish with their left hand, where we might have someone who's newer to the game and we're really just trying to get those basic footwork, opposite hand, opposite footwork down. So it's really easy to tailor when we break them down into sessions, and we do get a lot of individualized time with the kids. So it's great.
How many spots you guys got left open, or do you even monitor it that way and establish a limit as to the number of kids you'd want to have in the gym at any given time?
Yeah, we adjust based on how big the camp is, and we'll create more stations or different things like that. So there's no real cap on it. We've done some really big ones and we've done some smaller ones. It depends on, there's no cap for us.
Yeah, we've done 30 and we've done 300. So we know how to make it work regardless. And like I said, having some of the guys on the team around, if we do have that big number, it'll be easy to get guys involved, and they'll get a really good demonstration from Division II players plus. So it'll be great instruction all around.
Put those Helmers to work. They both have a pretty good.
They know a thing or two, that's for sure.
What do you got, Mike?
I want to ask some fun questions now, because it's not every day that I get to talk to an NBA guy and a guy that's going to be a great coach someday. So I'm going to take this opportunity to do that. And my first question is for Luka. Luka, I asked your dad the same question, and I'm curious how you're going to answer it. But we're Hawkeye fans here at Iowa, so we watched your career. And I believe it was after a Michigan game your junior year, when that was your coming out party, when all of us Hawkeye fans were like, hey, this guy's for real. Look at what are we doing here? And then all of a sudden, let the peacock fly is something that your dad said, and that had been the mantra. And they've called you the peacock. And I'm just wondering, Luka, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think growing up with my dad, every car ride, every dinner, there's always some random quotes that come out, and some impactful quotes. And I think there's some that kind of stick around over the test of time. And I don't know where it came from. I know me and him are both huge Will Ferrell fans. So the other guy there's a movie where that line is in. And I think in different moments I'd heard him say it in the past. And in general, when I was super young, I don't really remember, but he had peacocks he had the little ranch. And so we always had a peacock feather in the house or whatever it was. So he was drawn to the animal or the bird itself. So I think when he had heard a quote like that in a movie, it impacted him a little bit more. And it was funny. I remember the NCAA tournament game where they had mic'd him up, and that's where the quote came out. I think I was in foul trouble, and he wanted me to still be in the game, and that was his way of communicating it, was like, let the peacock fly. That's kind of where it started, and I think it was just so cool to see how many people gravitated towards that. And then with him, he made T-shirts, sold them, and then gave the money to the high school teachers around the state of Iowa. And so I thought that was really cool. And I think during that time was when, like you said, I was starting to become a bigger name in college basketball, and especially in the state of Iowa. And it was cool that I was kind of connected to that.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off that question, because you said something that I was going to ask you earlier but didn't. But the Garza family has been incredibly kind to the state of Iowa, very charitable. Luka, you're a successful guy. Your dad's a successful guy. You guys could be sitting on, and maybe you are, mountains of money, driving Bentleys, have gold teeth, the whole 9 yards. But you guys choose to be charitable with your dollars. Like, Where does that come from? What is the thought process behind that?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, I just feel like extremely indebted to the state of Iowa from my experience, from what happened to me through my 4 years and all the support, all the people that kind of, pushed me and all of the relationships that I was able to build here in the state of Iowa that are going to be friends, family for the rest of my life. So I think for me, it's part of me feels like I'm from Iowa just because I was able to develop into a man from a kid when I first arrived on campus. And that is essentially what has always drawn me to coming back and trying to give back and make a positive impact on different people because I know the impact that those people made on me.
Jarrett, you're coming back to Fayette.
I am. That's correct.
Talk to me about maybe your thoughts or feelings about coming back to a place where you used to just rain threes, man. Like, I mean, what's it going to be like to be back?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited to be back in Fayette. One thing I tell a lot of people, so when I entered the transfer portal my sophomore year before I came to Upper Iowa, and I planned my visit to Upper Iowa. I did a little bit of research on the town, and I was like, there's absolutely zero chance that I'm going to go live in Fayette, Iowa. There's not a stoplight. There's not, what am I supposed to do in Fayette, right? I went to school in Cedar Rapids before. I was at Mount Mercy. And one of the reasons I left, I did not like Cedar Rapids. I don't know why. I was extremely bored. I just didn't enjoy my time in Cedar Rapids. And then I visited Upper Iowa, Brooks McCowan, legendary coach, met with him, and me and my mom talked in the car, and we were like, obviously I didn't plan on going there, but we agreed no matter what, we're talking about it at home. I committed on the spot on my visit. And I remember I got in the car with my mom and I was like, no, I wasn't supposed to do that. You want me to go home and we want to talk about it? She's like, no, you made the right decision. And let me tell you, in my 4 years in Fayette, I wasn't bored one time. Going to Fayette was the best decision I've ever made in my life. And I will say that everything that I'm doing right now, it really does all stem back to Fayette. And I couldn't be more thankful. Casey Kasperbauer actually helped me get my position out here at USC. He has a lot of connections with the staff out here, and he's been an absolute blessing to me. I've talked to him a ton, and he's been a great mentor to me as well. I'm just so excited to be back. I was actually telling Luka, I was telling him this yesterday, that not anytime soon. I couldn't live in Fayette anytime soon, but I could see myself like retiring in Fayette. They have the golf course, you got DTs, you got the gas station, then they got all the sports that I need to watch throughout the year. So I couldn't be more thankful for my time in Fayette, and it truly is home to me, and I'm very excited to come back.
Got the Volga River, you can toss in, catch a few trout.
No, absolutely.
You're right. Not a bad retirement hang, I'll tell you. That's about a year away from me. A little bit more to do. Hey, it won't be too long after Fayette on August the 17th and Indianola on August the 19th that you guys are going to have to spin off and attend to your day jobs. I wanted to talk to Luka a little bit just about expectations and hopes for the season ahead in Boston.
Yeah, I'm just extremely excited for another year to have a chance to put on that uniform and represent the Celtics. That's such a meaningful thing that I think when I'm done and I'm sitting around, it's going to be really special that I've had the ability to play for the Boston Celtics. But going into this year, I think based off last year, I think for me, I was able to figure out what works for me to have a role in the NBA. What are the things that I can do every single night to impact the rotation and impact the game? And I think the experience I gained, especially in the playoffs, even though there were some shorter windows of time, but just getting that experience in the rotation in the playoffs, getting to start game 7. I think there's so many things I learned from that I'm so excited to take that into this year and continue to expand my game and show what I can do every single night. And there's a lot of motivation coming off last year where obviously it was a good year for me, but I still think there's so much more I can do. And obviously as a team for us, losing in the first round in Boston is unacceptable. And so there's a lot of motivation from the squad to come into next year with the right mindset and find our way deeper in the playoffs.
That gets me fired up just listening to it, man. I can't wait for next season. Hey, Luka, if we all think you're legendary in basketball here in the state of Iowa, and we're always going to follow you, but I'm curious, what's something else you're good at? Sport or not?
Golf. I just picked up golf 2 months ago, so I would not say that.
He's a lot better than me, though. I broke his driver yesterday, so that's not great.
Ouch.
We lost the driver on the course yesterday. Yeah, it was tough. It went farther than the ball did, which is
that says something about the golf team right there.
That is not good, guys. Yeah, you owe him a driver, Jared. Yeah, work that out after the show.
But yeah, I think that's Honestly, the first passion in a while that brings the feeling of basketball to me, of wanting to improve at something. And so I think over the next couple of years, I'll be able to say golf at some point. But no, I think there's a lot of things that I try to do. Just whether I've tried pickleball, I've tried video games, all that. I think basketball was my right choice of profession. I don't know if there's anything else I could really hang my hat on.
I can't imagine playing pickleball against that guy. Are you kidding me?
Viola.
Yeah.
Great viola player.
Yeah. I played an instrument for 8-9 years. That's good. And yeah.
Excellent.
Terrific. How about a superpower for Jarrett? What's your hidden talent, Jarrett, that nobody knows about?
And you got it, son?
He's above average bowler. He's pretty good.
I do pride myself in bowling.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Okay, fabulous. I like the sound of that. Head on down to Viper Lanes down in Old Wine. A couple of towns down, splatter the pins there. That sounds okay.
Absolutely.
Mike, any additional questions for the gentleman?
Yeah, I think I got one more, and I think this would be a good way to kind of let these guys go because they're busy out there in LA. And you can either answer this together or you can do it separately. But how about your elevator speech best pitch of why kids in Iowa should attend Luka Garza camp on August 17th in Fayette, Iowa?
Yeah, I think for sure, for me, I'd say number one is to get somewhere you haven't been before, you got to do something different. And so I think we offer that. We offer a different experience. We offer something that will help you learn lessons both on and off the floor, things that you can carry with you into whatever grade you're going to, whatever your passion is, and, just showing examples of different people that have found this passion in life and continue to chase it with everything they have. And they're starting to see or going to see the rewards from that. So I think that's the biggest thing. And also you have the opportunity to try to block my shot. I will probably dunk on you, but you'll have the opportunity. And so I think that's a fun part of it too.
Yeah, to go off of that, I would say, so the first year I helped with his camps was between my 5th and 6th year at Upper Iowa. And I'm helping with the 2nd and 3rd grade camp because that's the first session that we do every day. And I'm learning things like listening to Frank talk about the mental side of the game to 2nd and 3rd graders. And it's at a level they can understand. And I'm learning things about myself and I'm learning how to put it into my game and put it into how I look at things going forward. And I really think that I've never been to a camp that does a better job of teaching the mental game as well as it does the game of basketball. So I would encourage anybody who's a serious athlete, even if basketball is not your first sport, this is a camp to be at that's really going to benefit you going forward into your life. And I recommend you guys be there. I really think that you guys would enjoy learning and listening to what Frank has to say.
I intend to be there. I think it'll be a
I'll be there.
terrific time. We're going to be there, and we will not try to dunk on anybody. And watch. Guys, look, you're both very busy with your day jobs. I think it's very impressive that you hit the pause button to teach the game of basketball out to kids of all ages like this. I think it's very awesome that you sat in with us this afternoon. He's one of the most decorated athletes out of the University of Iowa ever, 2-time Big Ten Player of the Year, 2-time consensus first team All-America, National Player of the Year 2021, offering lessons that he has learned personally to kids of all ages, and nobody will ever outwork him. Hawkeye legend Luka Garza coming to Fayette on August the 17th. Check it out, LukaGarzaAcademy.com. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Looking forward to meeting both of you and rubbing elbows with the Hilmers and Nick Reed and everybody that winds up in the gym. It's going to be fun in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. Looking forward to meeting you guys.
Thanks
again, guys. So long for now.